Welcome, everybody, to the July 11th, 2024 ESS Finance Subcommittee meeting. We will start with a roll call. Actually, I will start in our room. We have Sherry Jones, Stacy Harridge, Nancy Booten, Phil Dunchie, and Census.
Then this is Lisa online. I have Geraldine, Sansa, Samantha, Amy, Kristen, Jan Gamar. I think that covers it. Did I miss anyone?
Carolyn is on.
Uh-huh.
Did you say that? Okay.
Carolyn is on.
Yep.
Yes.
I think that covers everybody.
Okay. All right, we'll start with the summary of the subcommittee action from June 6th. Everyone had that in our packet. Any modifications or corrections? If not, I would take a motion for approval.
This is Sherry. I move to approve.
And this is Stacy. I will second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Amy in the chat pad said aye.
Amy
Opposed?
Butchak.
What's that?
Amy Butchak. Amy Butchak.
Okay.
Yeah.
Motion carries. Thank you. I apologize. So financial reports, we'll start with the accounts receivable update from Lisa Long.
Good morning, everyone. So most of these outstanding balances are related to the maintenance invoices that were issued to all counties in June. I believe we've received a couple of these in the last week or so. So the balance outstanding is a little bit less. We'll give everyone till about the 15th and then we'll follow up because we know how county payment cycles work. So we'll follow up with those counties. We do have a couple amounts outstanding for deputy conference registration. Notably, I think the one I see off the top of my head here is Marshall County. And then a couple smaller amounts that are from an error on our end for a credit card distribution that was made in error. So I think by the end of July, we'll be in really good shape on all of these, and I'm happy to answer questions.
Thanks, Lisa. Anyone have any questions? If not, we'll move on to the July summary of the June ESS payments with Samantha.
Thank you, Stacy. Okay, so this is the accounts payable report for June. I have a few things highlighted here. Notably the Light Edge bill here for $11,684.15. This bill is not correct. They have been overbilling us for the last few months. They are in agreement that the bill is wrong. However, they still continue to send an incorrect bill. We've been trying to work with them to either correct the billing or send us credit memos. Unfortunately, I do have to record what they're billing us, even though it is incorrect. So you'll see this as soon as they get their billing under control. This will actually be about 7,500 instead of 11,000. We have the Iowa Solutions 170 here, which is not a normal bill. We had an extra hour of work done on our computers. And then I have a few other Light Edge entries here, the 420, which was already under budget. We've been working with them to correct some billing. There was a few things billed that we didn't need to have billed. So there's some credit memos down here at the bottom for 160, 32, 50, and 80. So this is going to be around 375 going forward.
Sam, that's Iowa Solutions, not Light Edge.
Yep, Iowa Solutions. Oh, I'm sorry. Then we had Denise Baker's mileage reimbursement. This should be the last one for that ESS coordinating meeting from May. And then we had a few annual bills come in. So we paid the Chubb insurance for $3,249 in June. And then we also had the IBM, which is the virtual processor annual payment for $10,432.84. Credit card charges, I didn't really highlight anything here. This is all normal credit card charges that you would see month to month, but I'd be happy to answer any questions. If there's no questions, I'd like to ask for your approval and acceptance of the repayment reports.
Any questions for Samantha? Thank you for the explanations. If not, I will ask for a motion for approval.
This is Geraldine. I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Geraldine. Do I have a second? Looks like Amy second from the chat pod. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We'll move on to the July Fund 255 reimbursement invoice.
Okay, this is the Fund 255 reimbursement invoice to the State Treasurer's Office. This is for the dollar fees that are attached to each document. We do a bill for the prior month's income. We request your approval in submission of this invoice to the State Treasurer's Office.
Any questions for Samantha? If not, I would ask for a motion for approval of the Fund 255 invoice. To be paid. This is Stacy. I'll make the motion. Do I have a second? Like Amy, second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Geraldine, it looks like you're on mute.
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, next we'll move on to the May 2024 financial reports.
This is the banker's trust statement. We had a beginning balance of $1,232,378.65 and an ending balance of $1,211,163.08. We were successfully able to reconcile the bank account. The drawdown account, we are also able to successfully reconcile. Moving on to the profit and loss for May, we had a budgeted income of $136,786.54 with revolving income of $3,146,959.77. With budgeted expenses of $140,126.39 and revolving expenses of $3,136,727.33, leaving a net income of negative $21,184.80. I do have a few things highlighted here. So as we've been talking about in the last few meetings, the depreciation expense from the auditors that we're going to start doing monthly, so it's not just one lump sum entry at the end of the year. And then we did have 3 payroll periods in May, so that was extra expenses of about $25,000. And then also the light edge billing that's not correct, which is about $4,500 over the amount that we've agreed to. I did prepare a budgeted only profit and loss. Which is a net come of a negative $3,339.85. And again, that extra $25,000 in payroll expenses and the overbillment of from Light Edge is greatly affecting the month of May. Balance sheet, total fixed assets equal total liabilities and equity of $2,805,502.15. Journal entries for June. Journal entry 53 is to reconcile and take the Bank of America account off the books. We had a balance there for a while that you were seeing on that balance sheet of $41.32. We were able to find the entries that was causing that, since that account does not actually exist anymore, and we corrected those entries. So this is the journal entry taking that off the books. Journal entry 51 and 54 are those penny rounding issues that we've been seeing with Bank Card USA. We shouldn't be seeing those too much going forward since we are moving away from them. Journal entry 55 is a reversement of a double entry in the drawdown account. Journal entry 56 and 57 are correcting a test that we were doing in the new CAS system for the drawdown entries. And then journal entry 58 is the depreciation expense for the month of June. The credit card statement balance was $2,040.48. We were able to successfully reconcile that account. And then the 255 balance from the state treasurer's office, we were also able to reconcile. As you can see, the amount billed back to the state treasurer's office matches the invoice that we discussed above. Ending balance in the account is $149,303.54. Which was reconciled here. And the balance sheet for the 255 account. And the profit and loss. I'd be happy to answer any questions, otherwise we'd be asking for your acceptance and approval of the financial reports.
This is Geraldine. When do you foresee the light edge overcharging when that will be fixed?
We've had several emails back and forth to them. Phil, do you want to respond to that?
Well,
Geraldine?
this is just a matter of them not being able to implement their billing system correctly. And all of the back and forth discussions that we have had with them, there does not appear to be any disagreement with them fundamentally about the facts. That fact one being, we worked with them to establish a service agreement for a specified monthly amount, and they keep putting things into the bill that are not part of the service agreement, or they are duplicating things in the billing that should not be there, or they are still billing us for a rack in the data center that we're no longer using because we moved to the cloud. I don't want to get too strong in my words here, but it has been very frustrating. And the communication has not been what we want it to be. And we have asked to escalate the conversation to the management of Light Edge beyond the billing department, and are not receiving any satisfactory responses. So that's one side of the story. On the other side, their services are great. It's working exactly the way we hoped it would. And we don't technically have any regrets about the changes that we made, but the billing department just doesn't seem to be able to get their act together. So we're gonna let it ride for another month. You know, the outcome that we want is we want them to bill us correctly, and we want to pay them the amount that they're due, and we want to use their services. It would be really unfortunate if something were to cause us to say we can't work with you because you can't bill us correctly. But we're generally in agreement on those things. As we've talked to the staff in the billing department, we go through it line by line. They don't disagree with us. They agree with us. And they ask for time to get the issue resolved, but then we get the next bill and it's still there. So I'm not sure where to go with it, except that we like their service. We don't like their billing practices. So that's what we're working through right now. And we are diligently trying to communicate with them, and we want it to work out. Now, at some point, when we're all on the same page, there may be a discussion ahead of us between the company and us, because we may need to make an adjustment in our configuration. Maybe we're using more power than we originally estimated. There are things that could happen that could cause us to need to appropriately provide them with more compensation. And we have shared with them that we are prepared to have that discussion whenever it's appropriate, but we're just not there yet. The other thing about that I would share with you is that Kelly has been working to fine tune our configuration so that we can stay within the budget that we set. So we understand what needs to be done. We're doing that. It just is frustrating that we can't get this billing issue worked out. So I hope that answered the question, sort of.
So right now, are we paying them what they're billing us and then they'll have to reimburse us, or are we just not paying them?
Yeah.
We're just paying the amount that was in the contract.
Thank you.
So
You're welcome.
what we want them to do is issue us an appropriate credit memo. And then we can make an adjusting entry and everything will be square. But that hasn't happened yet. So we'll just have to see how it plays out.
Hey, and this is Lisa. I would like to commend Samantha for, I'm not kidding, line by line reviewing all of our bills and making sure everything is correct. And, you know, following up, discussing it with Phil and saying, okay, that makes sense or that doesn't make sense. And making sure everything's correct.
I really appreciate all the explanation and also showing the journal entries every month. I mean, that helps me understand and what to look for. Also keeping on track with what we've budgeted and know that there may be some type of budget amendment or explanation of why we need to modify with Light Edge. And they are new. I mean, the services that we're doing is new. So you would expect a little bit of a bump, but I love the due diligence on the ILR team. So any other questions for Samantha or Phil? If not, I would ask for a motion to approve the May 2024 financial reports.
This is Geraldine. I'll make that motion.
Thanks, Geraldine. Do I have a second?
This is Sherry. I'll second.
Thanks, Sherry. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Aye from the chat pod with Amy. Motion carries. We'll move on to the ESS financial and strategic review. It looks like we've got the metrics up. If Phil, if you want to talk about it. And Kelly, thank you very much. I did note your aye as well.
Okay, well, a couple of comments today. First of all, something somewhat historic has happened in June that we really have not seen before. I mean, in the history of our land records and e-submission, and that is that the volume of recorded documents in June actually fell and did not increase. And if you look at this chart and you went back in time, almost, in fact, all of the prior years, the volume has gone up in June. And it usually represents the most activity out of the entire year. But this month in June, we actually saw activity fall below the prior month and in fact below the prior year. So it's bracing to to see something like that happen. It's not the end of the universe, so I don't want to overstate it either. We hope that we have a great July, but it does suggest to me that when we said in the audit report that you're going to actually receive in August, you'll see a statement in there where in our management comments, we reflected on whether or not what trends we see today reflect a new normal. And when we wrote that, we paused and said, is this the new normal or not? And when I see numbers like this, it makes me say, maybe we weren't really that far off base when we said that. I hope I'm wrong, but it certainly is something that gets your attention, and it just hasn't happened before. So we'll have to continue to watch that. But the trend this in the month of June is not good. So let's hope we have a rebound. I try to pay attention to the economic activity in the country, and it looks like the Fed might be seriously considering a rate adjustment downward for the first time since they started increasing them, and we hope that honestly hope that happens, because something needs to be done to get people wanting to make transactions again, because right now everybody is stuck, and the biggest driver of that is that everybody locked into a low interest rate, and nobody wants to get out of it because the interest rates are too high for them to want to do that. And there are other factors at play, but there are some things that need to be done. I'm not the Fed guy, but it feels like there needs to be some adjustment somewhere to get things moving again, because they aren't. And the associated observation that we kind of have to remember is that this is not just affecting recording activity. The folks in the title industry, their volume has to be affected as well. For the first time ever, I've heard from real estate attorneys who say, the work just isn't there for them the way it used to be. And so it's affecting everybody. So this is just part of the story and the facts that we have to deal with. And I think we budgeted appropriately. We'll see how the next few months play out. So that's my trend update for the month. Lisa is going to provide you with an update on the point of sale transition.
Thanks, Phil. So we are transitioning everyone from the Bank Card USA to the Professional Solutions Bank Card system. We had a big push we did a gradual rollout. We didn't want to overwhelm the support team at Professional Solutions, so we did a few at a time. And then right before the end of the month and into the 4th of July week, asked everybody to keep going. And I did send out a reminder on Monday to say, hey, if you haven't done this, please do it when you can, knowing that people are short-staffed, people are on vacation, waiting for people to get back before they make that change. So I think we had 9 counties switch on Monday or Tuesday, and we've done some follow-up. So I'd really like to get everyone switched over by the end of the month. And I believe Phil has initiated some communication with BankCard, telling them that we will be transitioning to a new vendor. But everything I've heard from counties is good customer service with professional solutions. We have some tweaking to do to make sure everyone's reporting is correct and everyone's receipts are correct. So they're broken out with the transaction amount and the fee amount separate. So that will help with your tracking purposes. But I'm happy to answer questions.
How many counties are left to transition to the new POS?
I don't know that off the top of my head, Sherry. I'm sorry.
Okay.
We
No,
can
that's all
we'll
right.
take a
I was
look
just
at
being
the
curious.
report. Yeah, we'll take a look at the report. There were, I think we have about 94, 95 counties participating in the credit card system in general. But not everyone processes every day. So we'll give it till the end of the week, determine who's still on the report and follow up with those counties.
I would just add that, we're behind schedule in terms of when we thought we would be done with the transition. It has taken longer. We have been working through some issues with professional solutions to make sure the reports that they send us are correctly formatted, because our accounting import process is dependent upon that being correct. I think we have most of those issues worked out. We still are getting some messaging out from their organization and their affiliated organizations about PCI compliance that should not be disseminated, because we're handling the PCI compliance for the counties. Counties don't need to worry about reporting on that, and you really shouldn't worry about it, because the PCI compliance is built into the devices. That's the way it works, and so there are just some rough edges that we have still been working out. The counter to that is that the ESS team has been super responsive and acknowledging when changes need to be made. And we ask them to do things that they don't do for anybody else. So we have to give a little bit of leeway, because they're generating the report, for example, is something that they would not ordinarily do for other customers. The typical MO is, well, you get a settlement report at the end of the day. That's your report. And we aren't doing it that way, because we have a statewide system, and they have to report it to us, because we receive the money for the counties. We have to have the right information in order to get it distributed. So anyway, I would also say that we've made the change probably more than any other reason is general customer service. And I have to say that expectation is being fulfilled. And we have somebody local that's a real person that we can communicate with. And I think in the long run, it's going to be better for us. I would just remind everybody that unlike e-submission, unlike the e-filing thing that we do through the our land record system, participation in the credit card system is voluntary, right? And every county can decide whatever they want to do. And hopefully we satisfy everybody. When we get through this transition, we want everybody to be happy and participate in the system. And that is what we're working toward. So that's my color commentary, I would add. Anything else, Lisa?
No, I don't think so. We're very happy with the customer service. Our initial contact was Ahmed. He's been our contact for a long time, since we started working with them with the processing of payments for electronic recording. And he's added another team member to help us, so that Samantha and I and Phil have somebody else to go to if he's unavailable, because he does some significant traveling throughout the state. And their customer service team, from everything I've heard from recorders, as far as the setup process of getting their devices up and running, has been excellent. So we're thrilled. If you're not happy, or you hear somebody who's not happy, let us know. We'll get you connected.
We have the recording fees and modernization update.
Real quick, I just, not everybody in the finance subcommittee is involved directly in the fee policy working group. And I would just, provide an update to say that the working group is having a meeting today. And I think sort of for everybody's awareness, we have, from a team perspective, and our communications with the various stakeholder groups and so on have sort of for a few months now been indicating, hey, something's coming, something's coming. Our recent message has been, well, it's taking a little bit longer than we originally planned on. So they've been notified, they still are expecting something. We've kind of set them up to say, hey, it's just a process, you gotta work through it. And so I think everybody has heard that, but there is interest out there to say, okay, what's it gonna be? What are you gonna come up with? Hopefully the next few conversations that can be worked out, and then we can actually start communicating directly about it. And so just want the finance subcommittee to be up to speed on that. And I know that if you really were interested in the details, that Megan and Stacy and Nancy, Lisa Kent, anybody who's involved from the working group itself would be happy to visit with you. If you feel like you don't know everything, communicate with them. I'm sure they would be happy to visit with you. And then if you don't mind, I'll just go into the audit update. The audit update is fairly straightforward. The audit is done. We've received the final audit report, but it's not final until the ESS committee and you receive it officially and approve it. Robert Endress from Denman is going to be participating in your August meeting, and he will also be participating in the August ESS meeting. And then you'll officially get it and be asked to review and hopefully accept and approve it. And then we will file it with the state auditor. So I think we've said this before, but 2023 was a challenging year for the team. We've had a staff change this year. In 2023, we had to divide the accounting file into two pieces and then cobble it back together for the audit. And it's amazing to me, really, that we didn't have any kind of issue, but we didn't. We have a clean audit, and we're happy to move forward. Before you adjourn, I do want to just mention one thing that I want to put in your minds to think about, and that is kind of going back to the recording fee and modernization update. There are some ideas that are being discussed that are not new. You've heard them, so I'm not sharing anything that isn't knowledge, but changes that might affect the revenue stream coming into Fund 255, for example, is an adjustment that is being discussed in the context of the overall modernization project. There is going to have to be a discussion with both the state treasurer's office and the state auditor's office about some type of a transition plan for Fund 255. So we have roughly $150,000 in that account. If there are changes in policy, then we're going to need to work with them to figure that out. On the other hand, I was just make you aware that a potential outcome is that Fund 250 Act 5 lives on. Okay, there is a scenario where Fund 255 could continue to exist, but maybe in a different form. And that is going to have to end up being described in the legislation, okay? And so that's a discussion that will be ahead of you and ahead of the ESS committee and also the association's executive board, because you can't just leave it hanging out there. You have to do something with it. And so I just want you to be thinking about and not be surprised and say, I never knew that was gonna happen, because something has to happen with that. We just don't know what it is yet. And so we have had a very good relationship with the state treasurer's office. And we've also had a pretty good relationship with the state auditor's office. So depending upon what is decided about any kind of proposal, then we can talk about what the options are. And then there will be a conversation or conversations plural with those officers, just to make sure they're on the same page, because we would not want to make changes there since they're involved without communicating with them. So I just want to share with you that we're looking ahead and thinking about what the choices may be. And that's not a conversation for today, but it will have to be a conversation at some point, depending on what's decided. So those are our policy updates for the month, and that took maybe a little longer than planned, but I'd be happy to answer any questions, or the other members of the team would be happy to answer questions as well.
Any questions for Phil or the team or for the good of the group? Well, our next meeting is August 8th, 2024. And like Phil said, that Robert will be there from Denman to go over the audit. If not, I would take a motion for approval or for adjournment, I guess. Do I need a motion? I guess we'll just adjourn.
All right.
Thank you, everybody.
Have a good day.
Thanks.